Redick at first joked about his lack of experience, saying, "I have never coached in the NBA before. I don't know if you guys have heard that." But then when he was asked if there are any misconceptions about his ability to coach the Lakers that he wanted to clear up, this was how he responded.
I really don't give a like, honestly. I want to coach the Lakers. I want to coach the team. I don't want to dispel anything. I don't. I want to become a great coach in the NBA, and I want to win championships, and I want my players to maximize their careers. That's all I care about.
Interesting. Keyshawn, what did it tell you that JJ went F-bombs?
It seemed forced to me a little bit. I mean, it really did. It doesn't bother me. I mean, coaches, players, we cuss in press conferences all the time. It's not that big of a deal. But it seems a little forced. He's been here in L.A. before. He spent 4 years with the Clippers. But the Clippers is different than the Lakers. Even though some of the media crosses over and you get them covering both, he's got to be careful about this. I don't know. I look at it as I'm tough. I'm not going to back down from you. Got to be careful because other coaches have come and had success and been put on the streets, okay, after their success because the results didn't equal to what the management and ownership wanted and the fan base wanted. And so all of a sudden, they were let go. He's got to be careful with that bravado. He don't really care. No, you care. Oh, you gonna care if it don't go well. So to give this notion that he doesn't pay attention to it, or he doesn't care, he's not listening to it. No, you are. Because it's in your face every single day. That's why you said what you said by saying, hey, just in case you guys don't know, I never coached at the NBA, because you heard it. You've been hearing people say it since your name has been brought up. So you're paying attention to it. So again, don't try to be dishonest in these situations. Don't do that because you're gonna rub people the wrong way. And if you get off to a bad start, now everybody's hands are going in the air and it just becomes a really bad situation for him. And he'll learn that even though we all say, well, he's worked in the media, he's very smart, he went to Duke. This is a different situation. You're not a player. You are looked at differently now as a head coach of, some would say, the top franchise in all of professional sports. So, just win, man. That's all I can tell you. I don't really care. You can F-bomb all day long as long as you winning and you get into that 18th championship to tie Boston. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but at some point it has to happen.
Yeah, look, I don't have a problem with him thinking it. Saying it is a little bit of an interesting situation because he didn't realize at the time that he was being simulcast on radio and TV.
Oh, that's something different.
It wasn't until the radio guys told him when he came on after the press conference, oh, by the way, did you know that we're simulcasting this? And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. It means nothing. Is the radio station going to get hit by the FCC? No, they are not. Does it matter that young, impressionable children may have been listening? I have kids. They've heard it before.
I was literally about to say.
So I'm not worried about any of the reality. The only thing that caught my ear about that was it's a teeny, tiny, insignificant, but tip of the iceberg example of what he doesn't know yet. Little things. And I guarantee you, he will never be in one of those super official press conferences. He may when he's in the scrum just talking to people, but he will never be in one of those super official, those big press conferences and swear like that again. Because he is meticulous in that kind of stuff, and now he's learned. But you are going to see little things, and some of them are going to matter nothing, the way this mattered nothing. Some of them could end up being important. So that's what caught my ear about him swearing. I did think, to your point, Key, he was very emphatic in that answer. That's the answer he swore on, right? So it makes me think, well, you have been listening. Obviously, it's important to you. He will need an extremely tough skin if he is the Lakers head coach. We have seen him have back and forths on Twitter with people. We have seen him. He and Doc Rivers went at it over the last 6 months. Yep. Is that part of the content engagement farm, as he called it, which was a fantastic turn of phrase, or is that his nature? So we're just going to have to find out.
Okay. So I was surprised he dropped those two F-bombs. But why do we all use that language occasionally? It's to drive home a point. It's to emphasize. And it felt to your point, it felt to me almost like he had rehearsed it in his head. I want to make these people understand I don't give a you-know-what about what you think of me right now. I'm going to show all of you I can do this. That's how it came across to me. And it's almost like he had rehearsed it in front of the mirror, like, you know, boom. And that's fine because it got all of our attention. And that word especially, of all the words, that's the one that goes a little over the edge for me. And I'm no prude, and I'm capable of.
Too,
yeah,
right?
he said it. He went back to back in the same salvo, the same answer. But I'm capable of using all those words. But there's a time and a place, and this is just me. You can call me prudish or whatever, or stick in the mud or whatever you want to call me. That language is unbecoming of the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers in an intro press conference. It's just a little surprising, and I'm not condemning him for it because I think he needed it to serve his purpose at that point, and he understands the audience because he's been what's
So let me ask you this, though.
content
engagement farm, yeah.
engagement farm.
So if I was hired as the head coach of the Lakers, Skip, and I got up there and I said, I don't give a what you think about me, what would you say?
You?
Yeah.
If I knew you?
Yeah, like you know me. So
Okay,
if
I'd say that's real raw Keyshawn.
Okay.
I'd say
And
that's
you would-
that's
and- but you would say-
I know you off camera.
But just in general, as a player, you followed me, covered me the whole deal. You would say to yourself, "Oh, okay, well that's
you're in character,
You
man.
swore in your
like,
autobiography title.
yeah." So it's just
yeah, bingo.
But you would look at that as authentic, not
It
a
would be
problem.
very authentic.
And you wouldn't say he shouldn't do that as a Laker head coach.
Yeah.
But because it's JJ and that's not his persona, that's not the way he's carried himself, it doesn't feel authentic and real. It feels forced.
All right. I could be wrong, but I don't know if Jeannie and Rob would love that. I could be wrong, but just LeBron's the face of the franchise. And by the way, LeBron will F-bomb occasionally in public and
Was he at the press? He wasn't at the press
No,
conference.
he didn't show.
No.
We'll
He's not
get-
officially going to be a Laker next year.
That is true. Good point. All right. So it created buzz, which I think he wanted to do because he's been in the content providing, how did the phrase go?
Content engagement farm.
Engagement farm? Wow. That's
Good.
way out there. But I mean, he's sold his podcasts and done very well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he gets that, and he gets the younger audience, and that's going to snap all of the younger viewers to attention. Oh, he speaks our language. So I appreciate that part of it. I'm just not sure. I was just surprised by it. I didn't know that was in his repertoire. Maybe you know him. I don't know him off camera the way you do.
Yeah, I mean, he curses.
Yeah.
There's no JJ
no.
curses. Honestly, in terms of the larger, forget the words, but the larger misconception, the heart of the question, honestly, I think Rob Pelinka made a better statement about that than anything JJ said. Rob said right at the top of the press conference, he said, NBA head coaching experience and NBA experience are not mutually exclusive.
No, that's true. Yeah.
And it's a great point because Dan Hurley, who everyone hailed as, man, that would have been a great hire for them, Yes, he has head coaching experience, but not in the NBA. And we have seen many college coaches struggle to adapt to the
Almost
NBA,
all of them.
right?
Yes.
JJ Redick was there for 15 years, playing against some of these very same players. He knows how the NBA works. When we talk about situational things that he might not be ready for, they're not really situational in terms of do you call a timeout here or there, because he has been on the other end of it. And we heard him in the podcast being like, I hate when they don't call a timeout here. I hate, he's been through all of that. So I thought that Rob actually made a better case for his inexperience or any misconceptions than he did. And I do think there's truth to what Rob said. I think there is a category of stuff that he will be new at because he has already lived that life in the way a college coach
No,
does.
he has lived a life as a player. Coaching is, I understand what Rob is saying.
But I
Coaching is totally different. You got split-second decisions. Your rotation has to be a certain way. Do you bring a guy in based on, you take a guy out based on where he's at from a foul standpoint, or do you lean over to a coach and say, hey, should I take him out? All of those sort of things is like growing pains that JJ's gonna have to go through. Or the Lakers fan base, ownership, are they willing to let him go through those growing pains without pulling out their hair? And if that's the case, then this may be take training wheels in such due time for him as a coach, so you take him off.
I'm not talking about those kinds of situations. I'm talking about, we saw Rick Carlisle, who's an experienced, great coach, not take a timeout to advance the ball in a key moment of a key playoff game.
It
and
could have
it
won
just
A little bit of brain.
blew my mind.
Yeah.
I do not see J.J. Redick making that mistake because he has been the one throwing the ball in. He understands that kind of stuff from playing the game in a way that a college coach coming into the NBA probably wouldn't. Just having that, you know, memorization of the rule book or those kinds of things. It's the stuff you're talking about that you can't predict, that you can't plan for. We're just going to have to see. J.J. Redick works harder than most people I've been around. J.J. Redick is more prepared and obsessive. He referred to himself as OCD yesterday, and I think there's some truth in that about details. It's the stuff that you don't know that you don't know. Again, tiny, 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 insignificant example, but swearing like that twice on a simulcast broadcast is not something I think he would want to do again, but he didn't know, didn't think about it.